Hi, just before I go into this video, I filmed it weeks ago and I don't know why this hasn't been uploaded yet. Like, I haven't even edited it yet and I don't know why. So if I look different, that's because I filmed it like I don't even know how long ago, weeks ago. If you've seen my stunt casting video, I filmed this video at the same time as that. So whenever that video went up, like weeks ago, I also filmed this video at the same time, so I don't know why I forgot to upload it, but here you go. Have a lost video, a long forgotten video. I hope you enjoy. So last week I made a video about stunt casting in theatre. I kind of find it really interesting to talk about sort of controversial topics within theatre. I might talk about them within other things as well, like books and whatever, but theatre ones I'm just really interested in at the moment. So stunt casting was a really interesting kind of chat. I was kind of like formulating my own thoughts about it as I was talking. I feel like that's going to be another thing with this. So today I thought I would talk about bootlegs. If you don't know what bootlegs are, they are essentially when someone goes to the theatre and sees a show, they will record the show and they will put it up online for other people to watch. And it's illegal. It's basically the same as like pirating a film. It's the same sort of thing. Like, people pay to go to the theatre and some people will just like record the entire show and put it up on YouTube a lot of the time. Some people even sell bootlegs, which yeah, I'll get into in a minute. This has so many different arguments for and against. Stunt casting, I realised as I was making my video, I was mostly kind of not that bothered by it. However, bootlegs, I feel a lot differently about. As I said, people pay to go to the theatre. They pay quite a lot in a lot of cases to go to the theatre. I know Broadway is ridiculously expensive, but I don't really know about the prices so much. But West End, if you're lucky, you can get like cheap tickets, but generally you're looking at minimum 25-30 quid for a ticket. Anywhere up to like 80 plus pounds for a ticket. Very recently, the news has come out that Sister Act is going to be in London, starring Whoopi Goldberg and Jennifer Saunders, and people have gone insane for this show. However, tickets for that are like £200 for seats that aren't like in the very back row of the stalls, the upper circle. £200 for a ticket. That's insane, but people pay it. That's the thing with theatre, is that there's a demand for it. If people love the shows, they will pay it, and especially for something like that with like super mega stars, people will pay that much money. So then when you kind of go on YouTube and you see that someone has recorded the entire show and just put it up on YouTube for free, that has so many different arguments for and against it. I'll kind of like cover my thoughts on some of the arguments. So the first argument is that like I said, people pay a lot and then people can see the shows for free. Theatre needs to be supported with money. That's the thing with any sort of arts. When it's like a massive Hollywood film, I feel like if someone were to pirate that film and a handful of people watch it for free, it's not going to hurt the industry that much, considering Hollywood films have millions, multi-millions of pounds or dollars to create these films, especially when you look at things like Marvel and Disney and things like that. It's a like multi-billion-dollar industry. So if a handful of people watch a film for free and they haven't paid like £5 to go and see it in the cinema, it's not going to massively hurt the industry. Obviously, I'm still not for pirating, like it's still illegal. For someone who did a film degree, it was kind of hammered into us how important it is that people don't pirate. But in the grand scheme of things, it's not going to massively affect the industry when there's like millions of pounds going into it. Theatre shows, however, the money is a lot more, like it's a lot tighter. There's not millions, billions of dollars going into the all of these shows. So many shows open and close every year, and a lot of them don't have massive budgets, especially if they buy kind of like smaller companies or whatever. They're not going to have ridiculously huge budgets like big films are. The impact of one person not paying for a ticket and instead they'll watch the show for free, that can have a much bigger impact than like just pirating a film. That is one of the reasons why shows can close early and why people's favourite shows might suddenly say we're closing in January. I'm thinking of Waitress on Broadway. They've just suddenly said that they have to close in January because they're not making enough with ticket sales. It's little things like someone watching the show for free on YouTube that could massively affect those sales. Like, even if just a handful of people are watching it for free and they're not buying the ticket to go and see the show in person, that's money that theatre show is losing and could really do with. On the flip side, there's an argument that people who can't afford to go and see theatre shows are missing out on these shows. They might never be able to see them, and by watching the show for free on YouTube, it's a way for them to see the show without having to pay loads of money, which it's a hard thing. It's like people make the same argument for books. So when people pirate books, which is a thing if you didn't know, like people actually make copies of books. People can download the ebooks for free. People make the argument of, but I can't afford books, or I'm in a country where books aren't sold very commonly, but it's still a crime. Like, I don't want to seem like those really cringy, like the horrible film pirating videos you get at the start of like DVDs. If you can't afford something, it's still illegal to then consume that thing for free. It's like shoplifting. If you can't afford to buy, I don't know, something from a clothes shop, like if you go in and nick that thing and then you say to the police, oh, but I can't afford it, they're not going to be like, oh, that's fine then, have it. So with shows, it's the kind of the same thing, where if your thing is, oh, but I can't afford it, well, then you can't afford it. Like, I don't want to seem really privileged. Like, I know I'm privileged with the fact that I have theatres so close to me. Like, I'm 20 minutes on the train from Cardiff where loads of shows come, and I've been in the position where I can just kind of like book shows, like multiple shows in a weekend, and go and see them. I understand that I'm completely privileged and I don't take that for granted at all. Like, however, it is still illegal to watch it online. So it's a difficult thing. It's a hard thing to kind of discuss. I'll move on because I feel like I'll never come to an answer about it. It's kind of illegal to do, but at the same time, if it's the only way people can watch a show, then they're gonna do it. The only bootleg I have ever watched on YouTube is Next to Normal from 2007, 2008. It was the original cast of Next to Normal, so it was Aaron Tveit, Alice Ripley, Jennifer Damiano, I can't remember the rest of the cast, but it was the whole original cast of Next to Normal. Next to Normal is my favourite show ever. I completely adore it. I feel like no show will ever overtake it as being my favourite show. Like, it's my one true love. However, it was on Broadway in like 2006, 2007 maybe. I can't remember when it ended, but it was years ago anyway. It's nowhere anymore. It's not on Broadway, not in the West End. You can't see it anywhere. I don't know what the chances of it ever making a return. If it did, I would sob and I would book to go and see it 5 times straight away. But that show has like a small chance of coming back. And it's impossible for me to go and see it. And even so, if I could go and see it, it would still not be the original cast that I fell in love with. Like, it was the cast were the reason why I kind of love that show so much. There are a couple of different bootlegs of it on YouTube, and I sat there and watched the whole thing. That's the only time I've ever seen one. I would not sit there and watch a bootleg of a show that is currently in the theatre, because I know, as I've just said with my previous argument, it can massively affect the theatre. But for a show that isn't even around anymore, it hasn't been on a stage in like 10 years or something, that's literally the only way that I'm gonna get to see that show. So if there are shows that aren't around anymore, then I feel like it's fine to watch it, because you're not affecting ticket sales, because there are no ticket sales. Another obvious reason why people probably shouldn't watch bootlegs is the really awful quality of them. So the thing with theatre is that it's meant to be seen live, it's meant to be seen on the stage. There's kind of like an atmosphere when you go and see a theatre show that you don't get with anything else. It's not the same when you go and see like a film in the cinema. Nothing compares to the atmosphere of actually being in the theatre, watching a show happen in front of you on the stage. You're getting like the live performances, you're getting other things that might be kind of, that come along with the show. I'm thinking with Waitress, with like the smells of the pies and things. It really sucks you into the world, and there's just nothing like it. You can't get any of that watching some person's really crappy recording on like their phone or like a camcorder, because people can't take a proper DSLR in to film on. They're not going to take a proper filming camera in with them to be able to get a super good quality recording. Most people will probably just use like a little camera or their phone, and the quality of that is going to be god awful. The sound is just going to be ridiculous. Depending on where they're sitting, the view of the stage is just probably not going to be very great. And also with bootlegs, you kind of sometimes see if they're holding the camera at the stage, you'll suddenly see the camera just like go down like this, and there's a couple of seconds of just like black and you can just hear what's going on, and then they kind of like sneak their camera back up again, and you can almost imagine somebody like a security person coming up to them and being like, what are you doing? And they pretend they're not doing it. It's really not a good viewing experience. I'm mostly going by what where I just mentioned, where I watched the next to normal bootleg, and it's so bad. Like, the quality of it is just awful. I mean, it was also filmed in 2007, so it looks like it's filmed on like a potato, but even so, today I can't see quality of bootlegs being much better. And I know you're watching the entire show for free, so maybe you'll think quality isn't an important thing, but theatre shows are meant to be enjoyed live. Then you're meant to sit and watch a theatre show in the theatre, that's the point. So watching some really crappy blurry thing where the camera's doing this, it's not a very good viewing experience, surely. I don't know, like, if you ever had a chance to actually go and see that show, you would know the whole story, you would have seen the whole show but on like a really crappy recording, and then it just ruined the magic of it, I think. And then the final reason why bootlegs suck is because they're such a massive distraction to the actors who are actually on stage doing their job. One person recently, Mariah Rose Faith, she is currently playing Regina George in the US tour of Mean Girls, and she said recently that she notices when people are just kind of like this in the audience, they're just kind of like sitting there like this, recording it on their phone, and she said it's just the most distracting thing. And then people even then like post them online and tag her in the bootlegs. Like, don't do that. Don't do that. Another person is Carrie Hope Fletcher, who I mentioned in my previous video as well. She also tweets a lot about people kind of like taking photos and things during the show, because it can be such a huge distraction. Like, if you're seeing a show and then suddenly you see someone hold their camera up like this, especially if they have the flash on and they just take a picture, people's vision on stage it's going to go directly to that person with the camera, and you're not going to be very well liked by the people on stage, and it could even throw off their performance, and then you're ruining it for everyone else. If you're kind of getting a distracted performance from the actors because they're constantly aware that there's a camera in the theatre on them, they're going to be distracted. You're not going to get a fully, like, I'm generalising a bit, but their performance won't be as great if you can tell they're distracted by someone with a flashing phone in the first few rows. I remember last year, I think, Lin-Manuel Miranda came back to his role of Alexander Hamilton in Hamilton. It was when they went to Puerto Rico, I think, to do the show there. In the middle of one of his numbers he was doing, he actually like improvised throughout the song to tell someone to stop using their phone in the middle of a song. And then he said the rest of his performance was thrown off because that one person in the audience was just kind of sitting there with a phone in their face recording it. And he said it throws everyone off. It ruins the whole performance, because then other people are seeing this kind of distracted performance because they're looking at this person who has a phone. Just don't do it, please. When you're doing something just to be able to watch that show again for free, or to get views on YouTube, I don't know. Especially when people run ads on them and they're literally making money off an illegal thing that they've recorded in the theatre. It just really bugs me. I understand the argument where people can't afford it, or they're in countries where they don't have theatre as a big thing, like the UK and America and like Australia and places like that are really lucky where theatre is such a big prominent thing. But in other countries where theatre isn't a massive thing, especially the really big shows that everyone knows, I understand people might want to see the show, and some people argue, well, I'd never buy a ticket for that show anyway. so it's not affecting the ticket sales. It's a really hard argument to kind of form an opinion about. I feel like I still am not sure on my solid opinion about it, because I understand. I've been in that position so many times where I'd love to do something and I have absolutely no money or the means to do it. And I feel like I'm missing out on everything, and it makes me really sad, because you just feel like you're missing out. I get that, and I understand how people might be sad that they'll miss out, so they will go to YouTube, and if they find that someone's uploaded the entire show for free, they are going to watch it, and that can't be stopped. Like, YouTube are trying to cut down a lot now on, like, they're trying to kind of crack down on people uploading these things, and obviously with copyright strikes and things going crazy, it's harder to upload these things now without them being taken right back down again. But the reality is, a lot of them find ways to keep them up, and people are going to keep watching them. So as much as people complain about them, it's the same as like film piracy and things. People are going to still do it. People can say how bad it is over and over again, and people will still do it. So it's a hard argument, really. It's impossible to get people to stop. I feel like with something like this, there are more arguments against bootlegs than there are for. So generally, just don't do it. So let me know what you think in the comments below. If you haven't seen my previous video that I did last week about stunt casting, then go ahead and watch that. The link will be in the description. Please tell me your thoughts on this. Like, do you watch bootlegs? Do you hate them? Also, if there are other theatre topics that you want me to discuss, like if there are kind of like other controversial topics, or even ones to do with books as well, not just theatre related, then let me know, because I'd love to discuss more kind of controversial topics and the arguments for both sides. If I've missed anything, then tell me. But yeah, otherwise, just please don't do bootlegs. Just don't. Bye.